The thing with shifting paradigms, it's very, very, very similar to identity shifting, but instead of you changing your internal state and thinking about how you think about yourself and becoming the person you want to be, paradigm shifting goes hand in hand with it, where it shifts the world and how you think about the world into a version of the world that benefits you the best and how you view things. So you know how with your identity, you're kind of programmed to think these things that you may not agree with when you grow up, but they're stuck in your head because you heard them so much when you were young. Paradigm shift is very, very, very similar. Whereas you might hear the world is evil, the world is corrupt, evil always wins, these types of things about the world, and those will stay in your head until you grow up. And so all paradigm shifting is about replacing these beliefs. As a human, you can only achieve things that you believe. Your beliefs are so much bigger than you think. So what is a paradigm? Paradigm is, like I said, it's a shift of your beliefs around the world. It's a set of beliefs that have been programmed into us and how our world is viewed. We think a lot of things are impossible or unrealistic. By the way, before I even continue, get rid of the word realistic from your vocabulary. Nothing is realistic. That is a limiting belief in itself. Nothing is realistic except for there's only laws and beliefs. So people might say it's unrealistic, right, people might say it's unrealistic for you to make $1 million in 6 months if you really dedicate your time to it, right? But if you believe you can do it with everything in your soul and you move on that belief and you act with that belief the whole time, you might not make $6 million, but you will still most likely make a lot of money that is considered unrealistic. Do not believe in realistic and unrealistic. There are laws and there are beliefs. The reason I was going to say that laws are the things that make realism. Because I was going to say, the thing is, like, if you were to jump off of a building that's 10 stories tall, the law of gravity is going to kill you, right? That's not has nothing to do with your beliefs. You can believe that you're going to live, but you might be able to live actually if you believe you're going to live. You might land a certain way. I'm being so serious, by the way. This is how strong belief is. You might land a certain way, but it's you're fighting the literal laws of the universe at that point. The law of gravity is a lie. You can't fight that. You know what I'm saying? But it has nothing to do with realistic. Realistically, you're going to die, but that's not because of the belief of it being realistic. You're going to realistically die because you're trying to fight the laws of the universe. Realistically, we don't have flight, but we made it into form of planes and helicopters. We, without any technology, cannot fly, but we believe that we could find a way to fly, and we made it happen. You have to realize that through shifting your paradigm, you're just getting rid of a lot of these limiting beliefs of realism, not being able to do things, of money is evil, all that stuff. All that stuff is limiting beliefs that have been programmed into us since a child that have made the paradigm you're living in now, which now is very, very, most likely a lack paradigm, because paradigms are, like I said, a worldview. So what you focus on is what you're going to see. What you focus on grows. You focus on negativity, you focus on bad things, you focus on whatever, it's going to be bad paradigm. You're in a negative paradigm. You're focusing on a lack paradigm. But if you focus on the positivity, you focus on the growth, you focus on opportunities, you'll be in an abundant paradigm, and you'll be in the paradigm of the version of yourself that has identity shifted fully. So that's why I'm saying paradigms, they are not the easiest thing to understand. I promise you. I've been studying these for a couple of weeks here. They're not super easy to understand. But it's more so just changing your beliefs and shifting them towards the identity you want to be in, as well as the worldview you want to have. It takes a lot of repetition with everything. It takes a lot of repetition to replace your paradigm, because your past beliefs are so stuck in your head. Like imagine like someone had a whiteboard, and for most people, like 18 years, they're just getting some shit. They're just talking up some shit on the whiteboards over and over and over again, 18 years straight, right? That's just not gonna come out easily, bro. But it just takes a lot of repetition, a lot of scrubbing, a lot of spraying and scrubbing, a lot of spraying and scrubbing, and then it'll eventually get that belief out of your head. You've been surrounded by like poverty and lack, but you know that there's abundance. Don't stop remembering it, and you have to keep, like I said, a lot of repetition in order to switch your life around. One of the biggest lessons people are going to have to learn, this is definitely my next video. Repetition is honestly the key to life. You will never know if you're good or bad at something, if you're meant for something or not, any of that, unless you put in a lot of reps. So in order to shift your view on reality, you're gonna have to take a lot of repetition. But like I said, it will take a long time, but it'll be worth it. Once you shift your paradigm, your life will represent it, and it'll take time. Like I said, it's not a quick change, but everything will start flowing for you in the paradigm you said you were going to be in. I've seen this happen before, and then I shifted back into a lack paradigm, because it's very easy to shift back into it. But before I came out here to Vietnam, everything was flowing for me. Everything was going my way. Everything was in my favor. So this is why it's important to keep the repetition going, stay repetitive, and keep making sure you're repeating the same thoughts and doing the things you need to do, doing the things that you want to do to stay in the right paradigm. You want to look at the world in the same way, you want to look at your life in this certain way, and you want to know that your life is going to keep going, regardless of if you shift your paradigm or not. So the reason that Bob Proctor is the GOAT when it comes to this. He speaks about this a lot. He always asks people how much money they make a year before he would work them. He's dead now, by the way. He would always ask people how much money they would make a year before he would work with them, because it would tell him what type of paradigm they're in. So if you're in 50K paradigm, you're in a paradigm of only making 50K a year and doing the actions that represent that. Like I said, I'm telling you, it's not the easiest shit to understand. It really isn't. But it's very powerful once you do understand it, because it's like, the way I think about paradigms is just thinking about identity shifting. So I think of a paradigm as just the way you view the world as you shift your identity. So as you see here, paradigms are very similar to identity shifting. You observe the world carefully, but through the lens you want to see it through. Make sure you filter the inputs that go towards your subconscious mind and how the world affects you. Have the mindset of the paradigm you want to be in, and repeat what you would want to see through the world often. Through the repetition, the world will answer you. Vibrate on the frequency of the paradigm of the worldview you have. So if you're doing identity shifting, the shift will pretty much naturally happen to you, but you still might have to put in some extra work, because the world is always going to be more out of your control than your own mind. Your mind is one of the biggest things you can control. So you're going to always have to make sure you're viewing things in the way you want to view them, and not getting caught in how the world wants you to view things, you know? Yeah, that's the thing with paradigms. Like, it's a little bit, you know what I mean? It's like, but they're still it's very powerful. And the paradigm you're in right now is obviously not the paradigm you want to be in. If you want to be successful, you have goals and you have things you want to get done. You have to shift into the paradigm, the worldview, the thoughts of the version of you in the world where you have the things you have. So here is the bonus tip. Here I directly explain to you what is the difference between a paradigm and an identity shift. When you shift your identity, it's switching your mindset to be the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. It's internal, it's within your mind. When you switch your paradigm, it's to make the world show itself in a fashion that complements the identity that you have shifted into, and it's a perspective switch. So it means that when you are switching paradigms, you usually want to be in your ideal identity in order to make sure that everything is in alignment with you. So you want to see the world in a specific way, and then that will shift your paradigm. Like I said, it takes a lot of repetition, because we've been programmed to see the world one way or another without our own thoughts being involved. But once you shift your identity, it will be easier to see the world in another way. Like I said, this video is very, very hard to understand paradigms. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when you need a lot of repetition with this. If you guys would like another video on paradigms, I would be more than happy to make another one, because it's very hard to understand with only like 1 or 2 videos. Everything else I make videos on, you can usually understand it with a video or 2. This paradigm shit, you got to study it. Like, you got to learn it, because it's about completely shifting your mind pretty much and how you view things. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you learned anything in this video, make sure you drop a comment, drop a like. If you're going to try and shift your paradigm, make sure you comment about that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.